If you're hosting Thanksgiving this year, contributing a dish to the family dinner, or headed to a Friendsgiving celebration, these side dishes will be welcomed with big smiles. These are the kind of dishes that have people asking, "Who made this?"
Sorry, turkey, but everybody knows we're here for the stuffing, the scalloped potatoes, and the crispy edges on the roasted Brussels sprouts.
Creamy scalloped potatoes. They're rich and cheesy, and no one ever turned them down. Honestly, if these were the only thing on my Thanksgiving plate this year, I wouldn't even be mad. I'm using Yukon Gold potatoes today. They're buttery and tender, and they don't have to be peeled. That's right, one less thing to do. You want these sliced nice and thin. A mandolin is your best friend here. Just watch your fingers. No one needs to lose a fingertip on Thanksgiving. Once they're sliced, give them a rinse to get rid of some of that starch. It'll help keep the sauce from turning gluey later. Now for the sauce. This really is what makes or breaks your scalloped potatoes. We're gonna start with some butter and some garlic. And we're just gonna saute that until it smells amazing. Next, whisk in a little flour. This thickens things up, so give it a minute or two to cook so that it doesn't taste like, well, raw flour. Pour in the heavy cream and the chicken broth. We want it thick and luscious, preferably with no clumps, so keep whisking until it's smooth. In goes the Parmesan, the fresh thyme, and some salt and pepper. You know, it already smells like the holidays in here. Once this is all stirred up and smooth, you can take it off the heat. Now we can add the potatoes and toss them gently. We want every slice to get a little saucy. Now I know this part looks super fancy, but it's easy, so don't worry. Stand the potatoes up in the dish like little dominoes. Leave them some breathing room. Don't pack them in too tight or they won't cook evenly. We're gonna pour on any extra sauce that we have left over. It's gonna make it nice and creamy. Add to this delicious sauce we've got going on here. And then we're gonna top it with a little extra cheese because why not? Cover it with foil, and then we're gonna bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. Then uncover and go for another 30 minutes until they're golden, bubbly, and slightly crispy on top. It does take a while to cook, but it's totally worth it. Look how wonderful these turned out. This dish is going to be a huge hit at the table. They're creamy and cheesy and super tender.
I'm diving into one of the absolute essentials of a Thanksgiving table, a classic make-ahead stuffing. And yes, I did say make ahead because future you deserves a break on the big day. I'm starting with a loaf of French bread that I cubed. You can either leave this out for a couple of days, toast it in the oven for 10 minutes, or just buy a pre-toasted kind. The first step is to melt some butter in a big old pot. The butter is essential here, so don't skip. In go the onions and celery. These are what make it so classic. These aromatics are so comforting. Saute them until they're softened and smelling like stuffing should. And next, plot twist, we're gonna add some dried cranberries. These add an amazing tartness in just the right way. Then in goes the garlic. Fresh herbs like rosemary, sage, and thyme, plus some parsley and poultry seasoning. Just give it a minute or two for all of these flavors to bloom. Pour in some chicken broth, bring it to a simmer, and then take it off the heat. All right, now pour that delicious mixture right over your breadcrumbs. You want to do this in batches so that you can stir in between. That way, one spot's not going to get all soggy while the other side is still crunchy. And we'll add some more. We did this all in the baking dish to save on dishes. So let's just let it cool for a little bit because we're about to add an egg. Next, we're just gonna whisk an egg into a little bit more chicken broth. This is gonna make the binder for our stuffing. Just crack an egg in there, give it a little whisk. Pour it right over the stuffing and give it a final stir. This helps everything hold together when it bakes. All right, the final step is to season this with some salt and pepper, as much or as little as you like. I think it needs a lot of salt to give it a good flavor, so I'm just gonna mix this up really well. Then we can cover this and pop it in the fridge until you're ready to bake it. And that might be now, it might be an hour from now, or maybe it's gonna be 2 or 3 days. This will keep in the fridge for 4 to 5 days, and then you can bake it so you don't have to do it on the day of Thanksgiving. When you're ready to cook it, Put some foil on, and you're gonna bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. Then take the foil off and let it cook for another 20 to 30 minutes until it's golden and crunchy on top. Don't forget to sprinkle on some fresh herbs before serving. It makes it look so fancy. I know we have it every year, but that's because there's nothing better than a classic stuffing on Thanksgiving. All right, the stuffing is done. What's next, Angie?
Next up, I've got something crisp and fresh and totally not your grandma's green bean. This is roasted green beans with a buttermilk dressing and crispy fried shallots on top. It's a little bit like a green bean casserole, but it's not laden with cream of mushroom soup and cheese. This is a great side dish to add to your spread because it's fresh and vibrant. We're roasting these beans with just a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. Super simple. The magic is all in the topping. Pop them in a 425 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 25 minutes. While the green beans are roasting, we're gonna start mixing up our dreamy buttermilk dressing. So I already have sour cream in my jar, and I'm gonna add some buttermilk, some minced garlic, some fresh thyme, and then a couple of spices. I've got granulated garlic here, onion powder, dried dill, and a little bit of salt and pepper. It's tangy, creamy, herby. Basically, it's the best thing that's ever happened to green beans. And now for the shallots. These are going to be the icing on the cake, so to speak. These are just thinly sliced and tossed in a little flour. Heat some oil up in a skillet and fry the shallots in batches. Keep an eye on them. They can go from perfect to oops real quick. Drain them on a paper towel. Try not to eat them all before the green beans come out of the oven. Once the green beans are nice and roasted, transfer them to a platter. Drizzle with that glorious dressing. And finish with a generous handful of crispy shallots. Oh, and don't forget a little fresh thyme and some cracked black pepper on top. They're definitely a step up from the mushy, overdressed beans you normally find on the table. Your family is definitely gonna thank you. Laura, it's your turn again. So what's up next?
All right, my next side dish is one of my absolute favorites. Roasted carrots with candied walnuts and feta. It's sweet, salty, savory, buttery, basically everything you want on a fork. Start by spreading your peeled carrots on a parchment-lined baking sheet in a single layer. Sprinkle on some brown sugar and dot the whole thing with pieces of butter. I know, it's already good and we haven't even roasted anything yet. Next, just season it with some salt and pepper. Yum. And just a touch of cinnamon. This gives it a nice, cozy, yummy vibe that just screams Thanksgiving. These roast low and slow at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 50 minutes. Give them a flip halfway through so everyone gets a chance to caramelize. While those are roasting, let's make the candied walnuts. Yes, this dish comes with its own candy. Melt some butter in a pan, then stir in maple syrup, a little more brown sugar, and the chopped walnuts. Cook them for just a few minutes until it gets glossy and thick. Now remove them from the heat and sprinkle on some flake salt. These will be crunchy, sweet little gems. We make these candied walnuts all the time as a snack or as a salad topping. But if you're already thinking about Christmas, they also make a really great homemade gift. Once the carrots are roasted and tender, transfer them to a serving platter. Top them with crumbled feta, those amazing candied walnuts, and a few thyme leaves for extra flair. Then pour over a little more maple syrup to finish. I mean, just look at that. It's one of the prettiest, most eye-catching dishes, and it tastes just as good as it looks.
Okay, it's salad time. This is butternut squash and arugula salad with a maple dressing, and it totally holds its own on the Thanksgiving table. First things first, peel your squash. If this is your least favorite part, you're definitely not alone, but I promise it's worth it. Once it's peeled, cube it into bite-sized pieces. Toss them in olive oil, salt, and pepper. Then spread them out on a baking sheet. Make sure to give them some room so they roast, not steam. roast those at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 35 minutes until they're tender and golden brown. These little cubes are going to be caramelized flavor bombs. While that's roasting, let's talk maple dressing. We're shaking up olive oil, maple syrup, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and just a whisper of nutmeg, cumin, cinnamon, and salt. It's sweet, tangy, and spiced like autumn in a jar. Now we build arugula for a peppery bite, roasted squash, crumbled feta, crunchy walnuts, and dried cranberries for that sweet tart pop. Drizzle on that maple dressing right before serving so the greens stay nice and perky. This salad has texture, flavor, and color. Isn't it beautiful? And the dressing, you really have to try that dressing with those warm spices. It's just delicious. I would eat this for lunch on its own for sure, but it really goes well with turkey and gravy. All right, Laura, we've got one more dish to go. Take us home.
All right, final dish today, and we are not going out quietly. I am making roasted Brussels sprouts with mushrooms in a creamy, luscious sauce. Even if you didn't like Brussels sprouts before, I dare you to try this and tell me that's still the case. Start by trimming and halving your sprouts, then toss them on a baking sheet with olive oil, salt, and pepper. We're roasting these at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes until they're tender and a little crispy on the edges. Don't skip the roast, this is where the magic begins. I was a little jealous of Angie's crispy shallots, so I'm going to make some of my own. I'm using some 0 acre oil. This is a really great neutral cooking oil that doesn't have any flavor and also has a very high smoke point, so it's really great for frying things. And I've got my shallots here on a plate with some flour, and all we're going to do is drop these right into the oil. Then drain them on paper towels and hit them with a sprinkle of salt. In the same skillet, add the butter. Then add your mushrooms. I'm using chanterelle, but any mix of wild mushrooms work. Cook them down until they're golden and a little crispy on the edges. Now pour in some white wine, just half a cup, and let it reduce by about half. This adds a fancy little zing. Then stir in the heavy cream. We're going to let this simmer just until it thickens into a luscious, mushroomy sauce. I would definitely say keep this sauce in mind. It's so good poured over chicken or pasta. It's a really versatile sauce. Now, when the Brussels sprouts are done, you can pour them right into the pot. These are nice and crispy. This is just how we want it. Coat them in that creamy, earthy sauce until they're glistening. These look so good. Let's plate it up. Finish it off with those crispy shallots and a final crack of black pepper. That was easy, right? Except for the time that it takes to roast the Brussels sprouts, you're done in like 10 minutes. And this is the way to get people to go back for seconds on Brussels sprouts. Let us know in the comments, what's your absolute must-have side dish for Thanksgiving?
If you're looking for even more holiday inspiration, check out this Christmas dinner that we made. It's perfect for smaller gatherings.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!